Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone, and welcome to our second Journey to Islam event. And we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we hope and pray that He blesses this gathering and that we benefit from what we learn here today, inshallah. Just to inform you that our main guest is running a bit late. He's coming from London. His train's been delayed by an hour, so he should make it here in about 15 minutes time, inshallah. Before we start, I'd like to call upon Brother Zakaria to recite some verses from Surah Al-Baqarah. So if you've got your mobile phones, just turn it to silent. So that's good.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اعبدوا ربكم الذي خلقكم والذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. الذي جعل لكم الأرض فراشا والسماء بناء وأنزل من السماء ماء فأخرج به من الثمرات رزقا لكم فلا تجعلوا لله أندادا وأنتم تعلمون. وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة من مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين. فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة أعدت للكافرين. وبشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أن لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار كلما رزقوا منها من ثمرة رزقا قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها ولهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وهم فيها خالدون. صدق الله العظيم.
Just to translate, O mankind, worship your Lord who has created you and those before you, so that you may ward off evil. Who has appointed the earth a resting place for you, and the sky a canopy, and causes water to pour down from the sky, by it producing fruits as food for you. And do not set up rivals to Allah when you know better. And if you are in doubt concerning that which we reveal to our slave, O Muhammad, then produce a surah the like of it, and call your witnesses besides Allah if you are truthful. And if you do it not, and you can never do it, then guard yourselves against the fire prepared for the disbelievers whose fuel is men and stones. And give glad tidings, O Muhammad, to those who believe and do good works. And theirs are gardens underneath which rivers flow, as often as they are entertained with the food of the fruit of it. They say, this is what was given to us previously, and it is given to them in resemblance. There for them are pure companions, there forever they remain. Just to take you through the format of today's event, our first speaker is Saqib Bukhari. He's a freelance writer. He's written on various intellectual, political and cultural matters in Islam. He'll be giving his presentation, which will cover some introductory remarks about the Quran, which will inshallah set up our main speaker to go through his discussion. And then after 20 minutes, we'll break up for about 15 minutes where food and drink will be served. And inshallah, there will be an opportunity to see the stalls for literature and to register your details. We'll reconvene at about 3 o'clock with our main guest, who's Kamal Abu Zahra from London. I'll give his profile when he arrives, inshallah. After that, we'll break up for a question and answer session, and then we'll close from there on, inshallah. So, without delaying any further,
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم. Sorry, is the sound okay? Yeah?
Just swap the mic.
ثم ما بعد هذا بلاغ للناس ولينذروا به وليعلموا إنما هو إله واحد وليذكر أولو الألباب. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah ta'ala, for the next 30 minutes or so, I want to present to you a bit of a daunting topic where I'll share with you in two parts, like the speaker mentioned, with a break in the middle, a huge topic. Originally, when I was asked to introduce this talk, I was given the title Miracles of Quran. But I asked that to be changed because I thought that title was way too up there for me to handle. So we changed it to what it is now, Wonders of Quran. Another reason I asked for it to be changed is that when you read a title on a flyer or a poster, you immediately pass some judgment as to what the talk's going to be about. So when you take the concept of miracle of Quran, for most of you it would be scientific phenomena. We're used to hearing about mountains as pegs, or we're used to hearing about things about oceanography, about geology, about embryology and so forth. So we have you could say a stereotypical view of what a miracle is, or a fixated view of what a miracle is. Because of that, there's a particular dimension to our Quranic appreciation which is almost entirely lost for the majority of us here today, especially for the non-Arabic speakers today. I want to start off by just setting the scenes. Imagine you are living, say, 2,500 years ago, in some society, say in the desert. You do what desert people do. You have your camels, you have your sheep, you have your horses maybe. One morning you wake up, getting ready to go to the marketplace because that's what you do as a living, you're a trader. Then you hear a knock at the door. You open the door and you find it's your neighbour, who you've known for a good 20, 25 years. And the neighbour says to you, yesterday I was in that cave over there, and an angel came to me. And the angel said to me that I'm the messenger of God. You're divine. And the angel has told me that I need to pass this message on to everybody in my area, in my neighborhood. So I went to my family, I said to them that I am the messenger of God. And my family said, you're crazy. And they rejected me. I went to other people in my neighborhood, and they said, you're crazy. And they rejected me. Now, as you're my neighbor, and I've known you for 20, 25 years, I come to you, I'm telling you now that I am the messenger of God, and an angel told me that I'm the messenger of God. And for you to achieve salvation, you have to follow me. Now, if you would have this experience 2,500 years ago, you would be very skeptical. You know, there's two major problems with this type of experience. Firstly, it's very hard to believe. You're a trader and someone knocks on your door and says, by the way, I'm a messenger of God. The default position is that you're very skeptical. It's not something that's an ordinary experience. But secondly, this messenger then tells you that you have to change everything about you. You have to change the way you eat, the way you sleep, the way you interact with people, based on the fact that you're the messenger of God. It's very hard to do that. So we tend to find that if we look through the lives of the various prophets, they had the same problem when dealing with human beings. Because human beings are very stubborn. You know, the nature of human beings are very stubborn. We don't want to change. So we see it from the Dawah of the prophets. Some did Dawah for decades, some did Dawah for centuries. And we find that a lot of them had a very difficult time to change the human condition. Simply because we're very stubborn. But secondly, that as prophets, when you hear about them, we read about them in Quran or in Hadith literature, we find that people would call them crazy, insane, mad. You're a nutter, you're just a fanciful magician. Why should we believe you? So essentially the hardest jobs of the Anbiya is almost because they're cold calling, knocking on people's doors, saying that this is what I have to offer, a free service, Tawheed. You don't have to pay for this, you don't have to sign anything, just accept the concept of Tawheed, knocking on people's doors. And it's the very hardest thing to do. And because it's so difficult, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them something to make their claims more valid or more believable. And that something is what we refer to as a miracle. To essentially silence the skeptics. Because in that kind of situation you can be very skeptical. So the problem therefore, it will not, once a miracle comes, it's not an intellectual problem anymore. The same most arrogant people, the ones with ego or ones with pride, will reject any kind of miracle. So we see when we look into the history of the Anbiya that there are numerous miracles. Sulaiman alayhi salam, he could control the wind. We find that Musa alayhi salam, he had a stick or a staff, he would throw it and it would turn into a snake. Or we see with Isa alayhi salam, he would raise the dead and so forth. But one thing we do with the Quran, one thing we find with the Quran is it's almost a very different miracle. Now, supposing that you were fortunate enough to live during the times of Musa alayhi salam, and you're running away from Pharaoh, and you can see Pharaoh's army behind you, and you can see the sea in front of you. And then obviously that's a tense moment. You can hear the horses galloping behind you, your death is near. And everyone's saying, Musa, what's happening? What's happening? Where's God now? Musa alayhi salam throws the staff and the sea parts. Now, if you were to experience that type of miracle, would you doubt Musa alayhi salam after that? You know, that's a fairly heavy duty miracle. It's somebody, if you were a sincere human being, you wouldn't actually doubt. Now, when it comes to the Quran, we find there's a major difference, a stark contrast between the Quran and the previous miracles. The previous miracles were for the eyes to see. You can see a dead person coming to life. You can see a clay bird being given life and flying away. You can see the staff of Musa alayhi salam turning into a snake. For the eyes to see, you can see that. It's something very powerful. The Quran, on the other hand, is not something for you to see. It's for something for you to hear. And then لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ, to apply intellect to it. So it's almost as if we have a change of track or a change of course. Before it's visual, now it's something that you hear. So that's what I'm saying, when we still at the beginning, that we have a bit of a fixation of a miracle, a stereotype of a miracle. The Quran almost breaks that completely. And this is not something for you to see, it's something for you to hear. So now we have various ayat in Quran. Sami'na wa atana, we hear and obey. Fastakmilu ahlāhu, fasma'ūn. It's all to do with listening and hearing. So you see, this is a miracle idea. It's something that's, you could say it's quite new to it, especially if you don't think about it. Now, when I was preparing for this talk, I was discussing with a few people, and one brother says to me that the previous prophets, they had these super cool miracles, but we got a book. You know, you could say it's almost a blasphemous statement to make.